to pay Chris Middleton this year more than the $19 million cap hold, right?
Most likely a max, which will be about $32 million, a little over $32 million.
I don't know if I'm okay with Middleton at that number. I understand he's a good player. I'm curious. Obviously, 19 sounds fine, given what I'm being told, but that's
he's obviously going to take more than 19.
It'll be about
other
30
teams out there.
Yeah, sure.
For instance, the 76ers, the Lakers, who are going to have cap space, and he's going to be a really good fit.
Yeah.
The way I look at Chris Middleton, if you have Giannis now and you want to keep him, you got to pay him because he's a really good player who fits really well. He plays defense. He's long, and he can shoot a three. And I just don't know who you can get out there. You can't trade for it. The Bucks don't have a lot of assets. Their draft picks are not going to be worth a lot because they're going to continue being one of the best teams in the league.
They don't have any draft picks really available past until like 2024, 2025 in the first round.
They traded all of them away?
You can only trade every other year for a first-round pick.
Oh, so they can't trade those picks. Yeah,
they can't, yeah.
And Middleton is the one guy on the team that if a big three needs to be shot, he's the guy to shoot. I mean, you could say Brogdon. Brogdon's numbers are very good, but he doesn't shoot a ton of them. Whereas, I think Middleton is the guy I would trust more than Bledsoe, more than Brogdon to be the guy to take that big three. I mean, it's obviously not Giannis. And Lopez is good, but he's not going to create really his own shot. He's got to really get set up to get one. So if we're talking 5 minutes left in the fourth, a guy taking and I do understand Middleton, and he plays good defense, and he is that guy on this team. And if that's that sounds like if that's what it's going to take to keep Giannis, that will. I don't know.
And take into account that Brogdon's cap hold is at $2 million, but he's going to be worth somewhere between $8 to $10 million too. So that's an additional thing.
That was my next point. That he's going to actually Brogdon is having probably one of the best seasons of his career, which you would expect a third-year NBA player or fourth-year just improving his game. He's also going to add some more money, so the luxury tax is going to eventually be in play. So stretching Tony Snell over the next 5 years is really going to make it more difficult for the luxury tax, right?
So, it will. Yes, it definitely will bring them much, much closer. Trading Ilyasova might be the other option then, or potentially...
But also his contract goes only after this year, it's only 2 years, right? So it's not being
Ilyasova?
held against... Yeah.
Ilyasova's got 1 year left on his contract plus an additional second year, which is non-guaranteed.
Okay, so I'm not even talking about the luxury tax this year. I'm talking about the luxury tax in the next 3 to 4 years.
Yes.
So,
yes. I mean, that don't get me wrong. That will come into play. So, yes. I mean, stretching Snell would be costly for them. So that might not be an option.
But it would only be costly in the actual on the ledger. It would cost them just cash essentially to do that.
Well, but a lot of additional cash because now if you go over the luxury tax, you pay an additional.
But it's only
percentage.
cash. It's not necessarily
only cash. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that does not sound like... So that sounds like a consideration that a team like the Bucks have to make, whereas I think maybe some larger market teams might it'd be easier to eat that kind of cash.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I think that's the... I feel like a larger market team would just take Snell's contract.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have... you essentially had Oklahoma City this year take on Schroeder for 3 extra years at 15. I mean, he's been playing well, but... That really cost them. That's a really costly move for them. So yeah,
it's amazing that team throws money around like that.
Yeah, but you got to give it to them. Yeah, they really did. They really.
I respect it. Yeah.
Well, especially since they traded James Harden away because they didn't want to pay in luxury tax.
It does seem to be the only time they've ever made a cost-cutting measure since they've been in Oklahoma City.
Well, maybe they've learned.
They learned from their mistake.
I think that's what they did there.
Yeah. I think the Warriors saw that last night.
Well, we'll see what happens with the Thunder, right? They've been throwing all this money out. They still haven't really won anything. They made that finals that 1 year against the Heat, but other than that, they haven't been really good.
And they most likely won't. So
yeah, and I'm going to agree with you there. Okay, so what are some options this summer? Maybe?
So for this summer, so let's touch on it here. I mean, now. If this
is after the Bucks win the finals, is that correct, guys?
It could be. It definitely could be. I mean, at least make the finals. Yeah, I wouldn't be completely shocked. So it could be okay. So a couple of moves you could make. I mean, so we're not going to stretch Snell in this scenario. We're going to keep it as realistic as possible. I mean, trading away Ilyasova, who's got 7 years, that is a lot more realistic. And when many teams have salary cap available, I think that someone will be willing to take him on for nothing or for a second-round pick. I mean, if the Bucks add in a second-round pick for someone to take that on.
I think Brogdon and Middleton were both second-round picks themselves.
Yeah,
the Bucks have had some pretty nice success with that.
Exactly. So I think realistically there is max cap space here available. They could easily make it happen. So, I mean, for me, I'm going to suggest Kemba Walker going there for the max. And, I mean, what do you think of Kemba Walker's fit there in Milwaukee?
Again, you're kind of getting me outside of my knowledge of teams that are not called the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
But what are your opinions on
I'm just gonna throw out his stats this year. He's having a career year. He's averaging 25.4 points a game, 4 rebounds. He's a 6'1" point guard.
UConn kid, right?
UConn kid who won the 6 assists, shooting 36% from the 3. 2-point field goal percentage right now is at 506, so that's pretty high for a guard. Free throws 82%, so he's putting up career numbers.
Turn the ball over a lot.
His turnovers 2.4, and he's a guy. He's a high volume player.
I was gonna say that'd be one of my knocks on Giannis is his frequency of turning the ball over. So I would like to minimize that in other places.
I agree with that one.
So Kemba Walker. But the one thing would be is you're assuming that you're getting rid of Eric Bledsoe here, and that you're gonna
you're definitely getting rid of Eric.
You're
Bledsoe.
gonna have a Kemba Walker and Malcolm Brogdon, who is also a point guard, but he's also 6'5", 230.
Well, he's been playing shooting guard, and Middleton's been playing small forward a lot.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I've seen that.
Which was what he can guard shooting guards at 6'5", 230, and he can guard. He can switch on threes as well. Because he is, 230 for a 6'5" player is pretty big weight wise. He's a strong guy. So
he's a tank down there.
Yeah. So a fit of Kemba Walker, in my opinion, would be very good. Kemba Walker, he's obviously playing his best basketball. He's not a person who necessarily needs to have the ball in his hands. Like his assist numbers for a point guard at 6 are not the best. So I think he'd be okay with running the offense through Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think the other thing that this makes it is it gives the Milwaukee Bucks another player who can create his own shot, which might be a knock on a Malcolm Brogdon or Chris Middleton.
Brogdon's got basically one move where he kind of goes left side of the hoop and gets it up with his right hand real quick. I mean, that's basically his only. Yeah, that and shooting an open three. Yeah, and that's what you see out of Brogdon I think most of the time.
And I think Middleton's more of a spot up shooter, and the only thing he can do is maybe he can post up a smaller guard and shoot over him.
Yep.
So I think it gives him a player, especially in the last few minutes of the game, who can create his own shot. You brought up the fact that now you kind of need three stars to make it. So. This would make him. He would be number two star, and I think Chris Middleton playing at the role of number 3 is probably the best position for him. Kind of like poor man's Klay Thompson, being the number 3 guy, offensive guy for Golden State.
Yeah. So, are there any concerns with? You said Kemba is a high volume. He has the ball a lot.
Well, I think he has the ball a lot because of the situation he's in. He's surrounded by a roster that's not very good. He hasn't had a track record.
Can he play off the ball? If Giannis is can he play off the ball?
Yeah, I do think I wouldn't be very worried about that. Now I can be wrong about that because I guess I haven't watched enough of Kemba Walker, especially in the past years. But I don't think that'd be a problem.
No, I think he would make it work. I think easily. He hasn't had many good teammates there, so. He's really been on the ball as much as possible there in Charlotte, but I think he'd easily be able to adjust to it. I think the only concern with him would be he'll be 29 next year. Signing him, you'd have to give him max money for over 4 years. Signing him for max money basically until he turned to age 33 a year, that'd be the only concern I would have, but I think that's definitely a risk worth taking for Charlotte.
So that's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the player I'm going to throw out there, who I believe would be a perfect fit for the Milwaukee Bucks, is Tobias Harris. So Tobias Harris is a 6'9" power forward / small forward. He's playing for the Clippers now. He's also having his best year. He's 26 years old, so next year he'll be 27. Averaging 21 points a game, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. shooting 3-pointers at a rate of 42%, and he's shooting 4.6 3-pointers a game, so he's shooting a lot of them.
Yeah, that's a lot. Those are some nice numbers there.
And then his 2-point percentage is 53%, which is also pretty damn high. Shooting free throws at a clip of 88%.
Does he get to the line a lot then?
He gets to the line at a rate of 3.8, so not a lot.
Okay.
I think most of his game is more spot up. He doesn't really create a shot on his own.
The D&3 guy?
Yeah, his defense. He's never really been known for his defense, but
just
he's
a
not.
3 guy then.
But he's not. I'd have to look this up. But I don't think he's a negative on the defensive end. I think if anything, he's an average defender, which isn't bad, especially for a team that's going to have Middleton, Brogdon, and Giannis.
Yeah, he's not a liability defensively. So, I mean, he's not, like you just said, he's not a top defender. He's not a liability. He's probably around league average in terms of just how he plays
But
his
he's
defense.
a long 3-point shooter, it sounds like, and a guy that...
Yeah, a very good spot-up shooter. Yeah. You know, he is able to create for himself, too. So, I think his fit in Milwaukee would almost be perfect. This is another guy that, similar to Middleton, even though he's probably not worth being paid the max, will probably receive something close to the max. So that is something to take into consideration. As Kemba Walker is a superstar, Tobias Harris is more of a complimentary star. So that is something, but both will probably be paid around the same. So that is something to take into consideration here too. He's younger than Kemba Walker, which I think he might be worth that money. I mean, at least he won't really regress by that fourth year as much as Kemba Walker might. But that is something that definitely has to be considered here.
So it sounds like obviously we're going down the line of three max players. Well, sorry, one super max player and 2 other regular max players.
Well, and that's another. I mean, Giannis is under contract for 2 more years after this year.
Yeah,
so
right.
But eventually we'll get to that point.
Yeah,
yes.
And they're going to have to. I mean, so that doesn't leave a lot of room for a guy like Brogdon, who is going to be not necessarily a max guy, but a guy.
Well, he's up for a contract this year, and we're looking at a range of about 8 to 12 million.
Right.
Which if you're Milwaukee, you have to do it.
Absolutely.
By building this team, you are going to be taking on luxury tax in the next few years. Now, if the Milwaukee Bucks can win an NBA championship, and which I'm going to argue it's going to be pretty possible to do so with this team, with anyone, even if you add Tobias Harris or if you add Kemba Walker, I think it's worth paying them max money because it is unfortunate. They might not be worth it, especially Tobias Harris. Maybe he's not worth the max money, but he's going to get it because there's a lot of teams this year that have a lot of cap space. For instance, Philadelphia is going to look at Tobias Harris and they're going to say, well, we have to offer him the max because adding a Tobias Harris would be a perfect fit. And the same thing goes for Middleton, who may not be worth max, but teams are going to offer it to teams that strike out, like the Clippers, the Lakers, whoever the team is out there, the Knicks,
there's a lot of teams,
the Nets. Any of these teams that strike out are going to pay these players money because they just have the cap space and they have to use it.
And the thing about both Tobias and Middleton is they really would fit seamlessly anywhere. I mean,
well, that's the other thing, yeah.
Yeah, so every team will be pursuing those 2 players because they are pretty much
modern NBA players who shoot the 3, play decent defense, and they haven't had any locker room trouble or anything like that. So they're not going to come in and screw up your team. But if you're Milwaukee and you can make the finals and you have a good chance of winning the finals, then you have no problem playing in the luxury tax, right?
Yeah, again, it's really what the situation that I think ownership would probably want to avoid is the situation where they're on the downslope and they still have a lot of heavy contracts where they're paying the tax and not being competitive. I think as long as they're competitive, I think they'd be willing to do it. I mean, like I said, they have the new arena. It's sold out. I think close to 75% of the time so far this year. Just on like a random Tuesday night, they might not sell out. And so I think as long as they're competitive, I think they're willing to pay some tax. Certainly, them being in a situation where it's not quite there and they're going to chase it. It's probably something ownership's going to try to avoid.
Yeah.
And maybe err on the side of caution.
And Giannis isn't like a Tim Duncan or Kawhi Leonard who isn't the biggest fan favorite who's not selling jerseys. Giannis has to be selling jerseys out there.
Oh, they love him. I mean, Giannis is...
And not only in Milwaukee, right?
Absolutely. I mean, everywhere. But he truly in Milwaukee, he's embraced the city has embraced him. I mean, I don't think there's a Wisconsin athlete, and this is, the state that has the Packers. I don't think there's an athlete in Wisconsin that is more universally loved than Giannis at this point. Really, truly.
Yeah, and I think I think it was Bill Simmons on one of his podcasts said that Giannis is probably the only player in NBA right now who has zero baggage. So there's no reason not to like him. No matter who you are, you can be a Lakers fan. You can be from Chicago. You can't hate Giannis. I mean, the only one who did he
I was
say?
about to say
Hitting the balls.
Mario Hazonia, who dunked over.
But everyone hates Mario Hazonia.